LVC-60 rocket from Sriharikota. That's scheduled for 10 p.m. We'll be broadcasting that launch live. We'll have a discussion just before that. The SpaceX mission aims to demonstrate India's prowess in space by executing an orbital docking experiment. This pioneering mission will see 2 satellites attempt to dock in space, a technology crucial for future human spaceflight and satellite maintenance. If successful, India will join a small group of nations with this capability. First, the headlines at this hour. Politics heats up over the alleged sexual assault case in the Anna University campus, from the actor Vijay to the BJP Tamil Nadu chief. They all make a beeline to meet the governor over women's safety. A fresh Congress versus BJP flashpoint in Karnataka. The BJP says arrest Priyank Kharge, Mallikarjun Kharge's son, in a contractor's death case. The Karnataka IT minister says that the BJP is falsely implicating him. The battle for Delhi intensifies. The Aam Aadmi Party announces a monthly aid for priests and granthis. The BJP questions the time of the Aam Aadmi Party's saffron outreach. ISRO is all set to end the year in a high with its space docking experiment to lift off from Sriharikota. But first, days after vowing to go to war to defend H-1B visas, Elon Musk has declared the system broken and in need for major reform. Now, what are the implications of this, particularly in light of what Donald Trump has said? H-1B visas, so very important for any number of Indians. Well, joining us now to look at this, Manish Maheshwari. We are joined by Fabiana Zangara, an immigration attorney, Sudhanshu Kaushik, and we're also joined by Matt Klink, a Republican strategist. Matt Klink, let me come to you first. There seem to be divergent voices within the Republican Party. On the one hand, you've got Trump and saying that it's a system that essentially works, it needs to be fine-tuned, whereas you've got others who say that the system itself needs to go in order to protect American jobs. How would you look at this debate?
Thank you for having me. Look, I think that it's fairly straightforward and simple. With the fact that Donald Trump came out this weekend and said that H-1B visas play an important role in America, and the combination of Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy vote strongly backing it, likely means that it's not going anywhere, which is a good thing for all those H-1B visa recipients. I do think that what Elon Musk did subsequent to that is he came out and said that the system is in need of reform, which, to be honest with you, fits with Donald Trump's mandate, that the current system as it stands, not just with H-1B visas, but across the board, is broken. And that it needs to be fixed. And ultimately, that's what Donald Trump is going to do. I think, though, where this issue boils down on a political level is that the Democrats are talking about this in the context of immigration. The key word here is legal versus illegal. Donald Trump is going to certainly crack down on illegal immigration, but I would take him at his word when he says that H-1B visas play a valuable role in America and that they certainly will continue.
Fabiana Zangara, critics like, for example, Laura Loomer argue that the H-1B program serves the interests of tech moguls over American citizens. Is there any substantial evidence to support or refute this claim?
So, good evening, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about the H-1B visa program. So, actually, the U.S. has an elite educational system and it's full of great professionals. However, it's also in urgent need of outstanding engineers and other tech professionals from the world all over, because the need is huge. So the H-1B visa program actually is a great opportunity for professionals to come to the US and actually help and increase the US economy. So just to give you a few numbers, okay, just in 2022, 72% of the H-1B visa were given to Indian-born professionals. So, and around like 6% of them were like engineers in major tech companies. So definitely the H-1B visa is like an amazing program to bring talents in the US. especially for the Indian population.
Sudhanshu Kaushik, Elon Musk has also mentioned that the current system is broken. He's proposed solutions such as raising the minimum salary for H-1B visa holders to make it more costly to hire from overseas than domestically. In the case of any number of Indians every single year looking for an H-1B visa to work in America, would this be a fairly disastrous move?
So actually,
I just wanted to, Fabiana, half a second. That's for Sudhanshu Kaushik. Sudhanshu, go ahead.
Vishnu, the question, I think, is premised on assumptions that we don't know yet. I mean, of course, students, which are now the largest international student community, will be impacted by this. They will reconsider going into colleges and universities to study because they value that STEM OPT and that H-1B opportunity lottery that they get. And as you know, students, as well as Indian origin students, are one of the largest contributors to the US education system when it comes to international education. But I think what Matt was saying was, I think, very essential. It's not just, we're talking about H-1B. This issue that has come up is much broader than that, right? The issue is not just about H-1B or not, immigration or not. It's also about simply racism within the Republican Party. The comments that have come out, the discourse that's coming out, of course, they're talking about visas, they're talking about legal versus illegal immigration, but they're all just spiteful too. I mean, I was born and raised in Alabama, so I know when I see racism, and this has become popular discourse. So I think what's, to Donald Trump's credit, he was able to make a much larger, I think, wing of voters that are very, very diverse. Now, within that kind of gambit of voters, you have people who are very staunch supporters of H-1B, of Indian immigration, of making sure that people that are qualified and that have meritocracy are coming in and contributing to the U.S. economy. But at the same gambit of voters, you have people who aren't just commenting on the skills and our kind of talent. They're commenting on the color of our skin, how we smell like, the food that we eat, and they're making that as the issue. So when we face racism in the United States, they're not judging us by, oh, are you an Indian or are you someone from the Middle East? They're not going to be doing their racism based on that. They're racist because our skin color is brown, because we look different. We're not part of the same homogenous unity that, that they seem to think America is. So I think the conversation and discussion needs to be had on that as well, and put pressure that it's not just about H-1B. It's about, racism and making sure that it's more palatable.
And yet, Sudhanshu, ironically, there are so many, including Vivek Ramaswamy himself, who are people from South Indian origin, or of Indian origin, who've done phenomenally well. If you take a look at some of the most successful business leaders in America, from Arvind Krishna to Sundar Pichai to Satya Nadella to Elon Musk himself, these are people who've come or have roots outside America. So there's a huge set of double standards there, right?
Absolutely. And Vishnu, it's not just about these individual figures. I mean, if you think of it as Indian Americans as a monolith, we outperform almost every other minority group. So Indian Americans are largely successful. A U.S. sitting Republican representative from Texas had stated on the floor that even though we make 1% of the demographic, we contribute 6% to the economy. So it's not that we're just taking, or this rhetoric that, oh, we're, taking all the money and sending it back home, or et cetera. We're contributing a lot to the United States. And on top of that, we're also now contributing to the politics. Now, it's up to others, especially the Republican Party, now that they're in power, now that they've gotten massive votes. I mean, Vishnu, Edison, New Jersey swung almost 90% from Democrats in 2020 to Republicans in 2024. That means the Indian American vote came out. Now it's up to them to make sure that racism, right, does not conflate and make sure that, we're siding with white supremacy, and rather, we're trying to help all Americans who contribute and who have voted.
Manish, let's talk about a meritocratic admission process. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy, for example, has criticized the current H-1B system for using, for example, a lottery to select visa recipients, advocating instead a merit-based selection process. He says that the best and brightest should be chosen based on their skills and potential contributions, and it's a process that shouldn't be left to chance. Is there sense in this?
Yeah, first of all, Vishnu, thank you for having me here. And of course, what I'm expressing here are my personal views.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the thinking behind H1B, I think it's a very well-designed program with a intent to admit people of high skill to fulfill a skill gap in the US. And that is why the way it is designed. And there are different criteria that needs to be fulfilled. And the whole issue, in my view, has been blown out of proportion because what we're talking about is a number of about 85,000 H1B visa every year, as compared to like 10 million visa that are issued by the US every year. So it's a very small number, and it does fulfill a gap. Now, to your question about, I mean, my personal view is it should be merit-based and clearly well-defined reason to admit someone. And this would be a legal immigration of highly qualified, skilled people who will contribute to the progress and development of the US economy and US as a country. And my view is that that is also critical for the US, because if you look at the startup founders, the number of companies formed, including Nobel laureates. I'm here at Harvard. So if you look at the people who win Nobel Prizes, a far majority of them are people who were born outside the US and who came to the US under some kind of a legal immigration program and made US their home. And that is what leads to innovation and the vibrancy of culture here. And to my mind, that's a competitive strength of the US. So I think even if I were to argue from a US perspective, this is a highly critical and important program to ensure that the best people across the world have a chance to come to the US, and US has a formal mechanism to accept them in a way that US can maintain its competitiveness. So from that perspective, yes, I agree with your thinking that yes, it has to be a merit-based and it should be well-defined. And we need to separate legal immigration from illegal one. And I think the debate you see currently on X and other social media platforms have mixed up everything, right? They are mixing up the legal immigration from the illegal one. They are also losing a sense of the size. It's a very small program of admitting only 85,000 people every year. And third is look at the outsized impact this program has had on the US economy and the growth of the country. And if you also step back and think about it, intelligence, innovation, competitiveness, highly skills, they are all normally distributed across the world, right? So, I mean, why would a country like US not want to have the best and the brightest of the world to come and make US their home?
And Manish,
this is not about displacing, it's about supplementing, right?
You've held an H1B yourself,
yeah, I mean,
right?
Early in my career, I mean, when I went to US, of course, for my higher education, and then, of course, when I took my first job, I was in a my view is that it works both ways, right? I mean, it gives the opportunity for the candidate to see the US as a country and see whether they want to make it a home. And also for the US to then decide whether they want to extend the H1B and give them a green card or a citizenship.
The point of my asking you that,
works.
Manish, is because, you are a case in point in how extremely successful people, perhaps the US should consider an H1B visa for them. You're a former MD of Twitter India. You're now a Mason Fellow at Harvard University. Surely there would be space in the United States for people as worthy as you. I mean, that's what common sense has to say. But Fabiana, I wanted to come back to you on the larger issue.
Yeah, but I just want to say, Vishnu, I think you're being too generous. I think there are far more qualified people than I am. And I'm surrounded by extremely qualified people here. So I want to make a generic point that, yes, I mean, it's a program that works for the US. And it's a program that's very small in size, and it has been blown out of proportion in the kind of debate we are seeing on social media currently.
Fabiana, to the larger point that Sudhanshu was speaking to, that there is racism, and immigration and concerns about immigration to the US all mixed up, which is why people of a certain ethnicity are potentially being targeted. There's abundant hate on X right now, other social media platforms as well. And therefore, when we look at H1B and the issue of how visas are given in America, it needs to be looked at through this prism as well. Not just whether it should be a lottery system or not a lottery system, the number should go up, should go down, or it should cost more, should cost less. There is a larger cultural issue here, and that's deeply concerning.
Yes, of course. Like racism is always like a great concern. According to my experience, we were lucky enough to work on those cases, and we never had we couldn't have like any direct impact on our cases, like the cases that we filed. We have seen that like very well prepared petitions were always like approved, or like even though sometimes USCIS requests like further evidence in order to approve the case, then at the end of the day we were quite successful with these cases. But culturally speaking, and like in the country, there is a concern about racism and how this could impact like the everyday life. And of course, like immigration, which has a huge impact on people's life, may be affected by racism at all. So we do hope that like definitely racism will have no room in the immigration system, even like in the next few years and months when Trump is going to be in power. But according to my experience, right now in the immigration system, like there is not a huge concern about racism playing a big role in those immigration cases.
Matt Klink, a final word from you. The divide within the Republican Party. On the one hand, you've got Trump and you've got Vivek Ramaswamy saying that, no, let's fix it, but it's a good thing. Whereas you've got others saying that it has to go completely. Let's protect American jobs. We have campaigned on that plank. How do you reconcile differences within the Republicans?
Yeah, two observations on that. I think one is that it's possible to do both, that both are not, what you described are not mutually exclusive. I think that it is inevitable that after 4 years of open borders under the Biden-Harris administration and 10 plus million people flooding across the border illegally, that system is going to get a complete overhaul on January 20th when Donald Trump takes over. The second point, though, is I think the most important point, is that taking Donald Trump as the leader of the Republican Party as well as the president of the United States in 3 weeks, he supports H-1B visas. I think that the combination of Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Vivek Ramaswamy, they will pull the rest of the Republican Party, which I think is a small but vocal minority, to support H-1B visas, provided that progress is made on stemming the flow of illegal immigrants largely across the southern border. And I take Trump at his word that he supports it. And at this point, I think that the combo of Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk on side pushing for it indicates a high likelihood that H-1B visas not only will be preserved, but will be reformed to make the program stronger, because America benefits from H-1B visa holders in our country. And I think that we have enough room for not only H-1B visa holders, as well as creating jobs for Americans. I mean, we can have a win-win. The two are not mutually exclusive.
Sudhanshu, last question to you. You're the executive director of the North American Association of Indian Students. Indian students, the largest international cohort of students in the United States, bring in huge, foreign exchange to the United States. They bring in a lot of money. Now, we've seen in Australia, not so much Australia, but certainly in Canada and in the United Kingdom, a sharp decline in the number of Indian students who are applying with visa rules and the possibility of jobs post a degree declining. If things were to change in America with H-1B visas, would a serious source of revenue for American universities potentially be impacted?
Absolutely. Look, in the United States, there is still a huge opportunity, even though it's been happening for the past 30, 40 years, but there's still a catalytic opportunity for Indians to come on an F1 visa, then transition to an OTP and OPT, and then eventually to the H-1B. And universities know this. I mean, college enrollment domestically has been decreasing for the past 30 years. So they need international students, specifically Indian international students, to come in and to ensure that these seats are being taken. And one thing, Vishnu, that I wanted to clarify, we keep talking about merit-based H-1B. There's going to be reform. Vishnu, the United States is not India. right? The H-1B is not on a, quota system. There's no caste quota, et cetera, et cetera. So when we're talking about merit, what are we talking about? Because the merit to get a job has already been there. The employer hired you. So when you think about the actual H-1B lottery, it's not, oh, you belong to this caste or this religion, you're going to get special preferences in the United States. Absolutely not. It's a lottery system. So I'm just worried that when we're talking about reform and we're putting it out on X and we're, having this discourse, what does that really come with? There needs to be some surety that's been given to these students, that's been given to these people that are then applying and investing so much that it's just not a free-for-all, right? Yeah. Reform for the sake of reform, but, how do we make it productive and what's the variability of it?
Look, I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. This is front page news in India today. H-1B is highly aspirational in this country, and certainly one would need to look at how the politics in the United States goes forward. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. We're going to move on after a short break, take a look at a huge cricketing debate, perhaps the biggest of all as far as Indian cricket fans are concerned. Is it time for the team to look beyond the legendary duo of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli? That's up next.
2024, the year that was, when India welcomed Ram. When India decided,
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी,
when Jammu and Kashmir turned a historic leaf,
as Chief Minister for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir,
when India mourned, when India celebrated, when India protested, when India felt proud, when India scaled new highs, NDTV brought it all to you, your trusted news destination, yesterday, today and tomorrow.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
5, 4,
Countdown to a big ISRO launch.
2, 1, 0.
Another space milestone for India. The SpaceX mission set to launch to demonstrate space docking technology.
India is ready to do a very unique experiment in space.
A mission to deploy 2 satellites in space. Catch the launch and live action on NDTV.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज को सरकार तक पहुंचाने का काम मैं करता हूं.
I was a student up until very recently. I really want to work and do something for my people because they have given me this opportunity. They have elected me.
सोचा नहीं था कि राज्यसभा सांसद बनूंगी.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
NDTV shines with 38 prestigious wins at the new.
Welcome back to Left, Right and Centre. It's time to delve into a crucial debate gripping Indian cricket. Is it time for the team to look beyond the legendary duo of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli? Both cricketing stalwarts have faced a challenging period with a string of poor performances, sparking discussions about their future in the national side. I'll be joined by Farooq Engineer and Madan Lal in a few moments, but first, this report about the loss of the fourth test.
Chasing 340 runs, India got off to a disastrous start on the final day in MCG. Rohit Sharma gone chasing the ball. Pat Cummins had 2 in 1 over. KL Rahul gone as well, edging to first slip. With this wicket of Virat Kohli, Australia smelt blood. India 33 for 3. That was when Yashasvi Jaiswal came to the party and made amends for 3 dropped catches. Rishabh Pant batted like a monk for Pant standards for his 30.
Great to watch, isn't it?
Jaiswal grew from strength to strength, notching up his second 50 of the match. India had a brilliant second session as the Youth Brigade took the fight to the opposition, playing 27.5 overs, raising the hopes for a draw. They put on a 79-run unbeaten stand before tea and had a 88-run partnership. Post the tea break, Australia cracked open India's defence. 3 wickets gone for 9 runs, Pant, Jadeja and Reddy back in the hut. India still had 22 overs to survive when Yashasvi Jaiswal went for 84, Cummins striking for a 3rd time in the innings. In the next 10 overs, India's lower order folded up. Australia won by 184 runs, taking 2-1 lead in the series.
Australia take a 2-1 advantage with them.
Well, joining us now, India's legendary wicketkeeper and opening batsman Farooq Engineer. I'm also joined by India's all-rounder Madan Lal. Thank you both very much for being with us. Farooq Saab, let me come to you first. Rohit Sharma in 5 innings in this tour has scored 31 runs at an average of 6.2, no 50s. Rohit Sharma, and Virat Kohli in 7 innings is averaging 27.8, 150, which is actually 100. The difference between winning the series and losing it seems to be these 2 batsmen, because we've done well with relatively well with the others. Do you believe that consistency is now a cause of serious concern?
Well, obviously it's a serious concern. Hello everybody. Good to see my old mate Madhi, looking
Hi,
well.
Hi, Brookie. How are you?
Smooth moustache there, as ever. But both Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli have been great cricketers and great stalwarts of Indian cricket. They've served Indian cricket admirably over the years. And I hear it's Rohit's desire to retire after the Sydney Test. And I think we should give him that respect, because he's a good player, can't become a bad player overnight. Okay, he's getting on a bit. We all get on. And there is a time when youngsters will replace us. But he's been out to some, both injudicious shots and, pretty good deliveries as well. I mean, the way Pat Cummins has been and has worked him out, and Virat Kohli for that matter, they've done their homework. Australia have just shown the greater desire to win this series than unfortunately India has. We've had our moments. We've had our moments of fighting spirit, some great knocks. Look at young Reddy. I mean, what a fantastic innings that was from him. Jaiswal's, innings have been superb. But unfortunately, the dropped catches, injudicious shots at the wrong time have cost us. We at important times of the match, we have failed.
Yeah.
And that's where Australia had the upper hand and obviously won this test match. It's a very crucial test match. And I think this might even cause us the World Test Championship, that at Lords. I'm not sure what the situation is. But South Africa certainly gained an upper hand.
As I understand it, Farooq Saab, to get in. But let me go across to Madan Lal. If you talk about Virat Kohli, an average of 27.8 in this series, and that's, purely on the back of one exceptional century. Where does that leave Team India?
See, that's a worrying point, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli has to get runs if they want to equal the series. That's very, very important. Rohit Sharma is out of form. Virat Kohli got one for 100, but after that, he didn't score many runs. But that's a worry point because India needs a good start. India needs runs from them. That's the biggest worry, Indian camp has it. So it's worry us also because they got chances, like Farooq said, they got chances to win the test match, but they didn't capture it. That's the main thing. They drop catches. The partnership between Nathan and Alan, what's his name? Bolden, I think. What's his name? I am forgetting his name. They know that 63 runs partnership that cost them the match. Then Rishabh Pant getting out at the crucial stage. That's where I think we also opened the door for the Australians to win the test match.
No, but Madan sir, let me ask you a very direct question. And the question is what we are debating tonight. Is it time for Team India to look beyond Kohli and Rohit Sharma?
Not at the moment. You don't have to be panicked, after the Sydney test match, then they can decide whatever they want to do.
Yeah, so at the end of the series. At the end of the series.
It's their own call, nobody can tell them whether you want to continue or not. But it's their decision. I always believe it's a very personal decision. And if they keep up the performance, they can carry on. But if they don't, then they have to take a call, Otherwise, the selector has to take a call.
If you were a selector, what would you, Madan sir, tell them at the end of the final test match, assuming they don't come up with any big scores?
If I was a selector, I was in the panel,
yes.
I could have gone to them and talked to them because they had done very well for the country and speak to them and then decide what we want to do about them. But at the moment, no panic, just play the Sydney test match, then see what happened. You never know, they might win in Sydney.
And then we'd be talking about how they should continue for that.
No, it's not. It's their call, Continue, it's their call, It's not our call. It's a very, very, very personal call, Retirement is they have to decide. That's the matter. If they don't
decide... But let me put that question to Farooq Saab. I think the question is it right for us to wait for them to decide when they go, or do we as a nation prioritize winning matches in series and therefore tell them that, look, it is time now for you to go. We can't be losing in this manner with you scoring so little.
Yeah, well, we got one test match to go, one Sydney test match. And now that's our last chance to get even in the series. And I don't think this is the time to drop these two because they could easily get hundreds for you. They have been match winners in the past. They've been out to good deliveries. Of course, they've had a loss of form. But who knows? The media and everybody has put a lot of pressure on them. But the last thing I would tell them, that look here, if you don't score runs in this match, you're going to be out. That puts even more pressure on them, even greater pressure on them. Just let them be. I mean, they've been great players to earn their place in the team. Both Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, and certainly they should not be dropped for this last test match. I would certainly
No,
play.
I don't
both
think
of them.
anybody is suggesting, that drastic a change. I think it's the
that will show
future that we're
panic.
looking at.
Yeah. Have we got somebody who we are keeping out who's much better? Okay, Shubman Gill is there. He's a good player. He's a proved test opener. He's a very good player. But he's not that much more outstanding. What guarantee is that Gill will get runs? I hope he does. He's a very good player. But over this last test match, we should definitely stick to both Rohit and Virat and perhaps take a call after the series. Perhaps when we have more time in a cooler frame of mind, you decide. And as Madhi said, that you got to consult these two players. They've been great stalwarts of Indian cricket. You just don't show any disrespect. Just drop them like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's selectors should consider the next tour is England, isn't it? England are touring India in some limited over games, and of course, India tour England for a whole series.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the time you need experienced players as well, and so who knows if there are youngsters coming up? I mean, show me if there's another Shubman Gill, or if there's another young, Neeraj Kumar to come and take their place. Yes, they should certainly be considered. But for the time being, I think we shouldn't panic that much and should continue with both Rohit and Virat.
Madan Lal sir, Virat Kohli's, some say the problem lies outside the off stump. For whatever the reason is, on the one hand, you've got perhaps the best cover driver in cricket, but he's also vulnerable outside the off stump over and over again. What would your advice to him be?
See, most of the batsmen are vulnerable outside off stump because that's where the fielding is set. They have a 3-slip, 1 gully, and all the offside field. They keep on pegging it. In international cricket, they don't spare you. They just keep on. Even if you get 100, they will clap. But end of the day, they're going to do the job in offside off stump. If Virat Kohli has to decide whether he's going to leave it or just going to play that ball, then my only worry is about Virat Kohli is I hope that the fear of outside off stump doesn't go into his mind, because that's where sometimes you get out. And once he doesn't have the fear of getting out outside off stump, I think he will overcome this thing, But
I think
bowlers are going to do that all the time.
Madhi made a very good point there. And also, your cover drive is your most... Now, Virat Kohli's cover drive, he's known for his cover drives. He makes them look so easy. And that is the shot that sometimes, more often than not, gets you out as well. Your favorite shot. So, I mean, just go over a period of time. As he got more runs or as he got out more times. Nowadays, he seems to be getting out to that shot. So I think he's clever enough. He's good enough a player to decide whether to come, furthermore. I seen him come right across the stumps and play his cover drive, which he didn't do that before. In Australia, he's done that. He started batting outside the crease to start with, but now today, he was batting inside the crease. So he's obviously playing on his mind. He's trying different things. And he's good enough a player. He's a class player to realize what's good for him. And he can work it out for himself. He doesn't need any batting coach or anything like that. At that level, you know yourself what to do. And as I said, he gets out to that shot outside the off stump, but that's his most, prolific scoring shot as well. And most people are vulnerable. Most batsmen are vulnerable outside the off stump to a ball leaving you, as Madan has quite rightly said. I'm sure he's foxed quite a few batsmen himself, chasing the ball outside the off stump. So that's the thing that an outswinger bowler looks at. And with reverse swing and all that. And so, I mean, Virat can work it out for himself. But certainly
Madan sir, go ahead.
Before this last test match. Let them play this last test match at Sydney. And I hope for their sake, for India's sake, that they both get 100 each.
Yep.
And prove everybody wrong. And
sure.
Let's hope we can win this Sydney test match.
Madan Lal, go ahead.
Save our face.
I think, there is another thing, which I think, like Rishabh Pant not scoring runs, in middle order. Because he's such a good player.
Yeah.
The Indian team depends upon him, he's getting out. And that's also, where we are, I think, not scoring many more runs, Today also, once he got out, then Australia thought, they can win it now. Because after that, there is the tail starts, how long they can hang around.
Yeah.
So that's
Rishabh
what
thrown his wicket away twice.
Yeah.
And he realized that at number 5, it's a very, very crucial position. He shouldn't be playing, those fancy shots before he really gets his eye in. Today he was playing so well, and I thought he's learned from his mistake in the first innings. But there was one fielder in the boundary line.
I just wanted to quickly go back to Madanlal for just one moment. As a former India opening bowler, what Jasprit Bumrah is doing now is unbelievable. That he averages in Test cricket in the modern era less than 20. That this series in Australia, his average is significantly better than his normal average.
He's phenomenal.
Madanlal, what would you have to say about Jasprit Bumrah? Wrap him up in cotton and
I can only say that I can only say great. Like Australians are still not playing him well. They're still struggling. They're not facing him properly. So that's where the Jasprit Bumrah is the world class. And the thing is, he has all the things going on. He has a mixed action. Then he has a speeds, yorkers, and moving the ball outside stump and bringing the ball in. All these things he has it. That's why he's getting a lot of wickets. And the wickets also, there's a bit of bounce and all. But Bumrah knows where to pitch the ball. That is a very important. Which corridor you have to bowl. That is an important part of it. That's why he's getting a lot of wickets. And he's superb in this series. I'm a little bit, I'm very unhappy because, he's not winning. He's not in the winning side,
What more does a bowler need to do to win a test match?
Well,
he's
Bumrah has been absolutely outstanding. Can you imagine Indian team without Bumrah? He's held the team single-handedly on his shoulders. And he expects the batsmen to back him up. But unfortunately, they have not backed him up. The fielding has not backed him up. So, Bumrah has been let down badly by the rest of the team. Unfortunately, he's put his heart and soul into it. And what a big heart he has. And even when he gets the top batsman, Travis Head, Australian batsman, for 0, with an absolute beauty, he just smiles and says, no over gestures, nothing telling him to, no rude gestures to him and all that.
No
send off.
Yeah.
Gentleman he is, and what a great bowler he's
all
been
right,
for India.
We'll leave it over there, gentlemen. Let's hope that we win that final test match. There's a lot more in terms of test cricket this year. Fabulous series. Thank you both for joining us. Wonderful to have two great veterans on this program. We're going to take a break. Up after that, we're focusing on an extraordinary event as ISRO gears up for the launch of the PSLV C-60 rocket. That's going to take place in about 15 minutes from now. Why is it important? We'll come back to you in just a moment.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
(2024), the year that was, when India welcomed Ram. When India decided,
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी,
when Jammu and Kashmir turned a historic leaf,
As Chief Minister for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir,
when India mourned, when India celebrated, when India protested, when India felt proud, when India scaled new highs, NDTV brought it all to you, your trusted news destination, yesterday, today and tomorrow.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Countdown to a big ISRO launch.
2, 1, 0.
Another space milestone for India. The SpaceX mission set to launch to demonstrate space docking technology.
India is ready to do a very unique experiment in space.
A mission to deploy 2 satellites in space. Catch the launch and live action on NDTV. Welcome back. Let's turn our attention now on an extraordinary event as ISRO gears up for the launch of the PSLV C-60 rocket from Sriharikota. That's scheduled for 11 minutes from now. Why is this an important mission? My colleague and our science editor Pallav Bagla joins us. Dr. Ajay Lele, Deputy Director General at the MPIDSA, the Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defence Studies and Analysis, and General A.K. Bhatt, Director General of the Indian Space Association, will also be with us. But Pallav, as we roll out this animation, this mission is a lot more than just the rocket launching or satellites being released. It's not about cricket either, but it's about what you see on your screen right there. What's happening there?
Well, it's more fun than cricket. This is for the first time
If
India...
you say so, Pallav, but go right ahead.
For the first time, India is going to attempt 2 satellites to be mated in space. Today is the launch of the satellites. The actual docking would happen sometime in the new year. But this mission is all about innovation. From the rocket to the satellites to the 24 experiments which the startups and academics are doing, it's all about innovation, and every part of this rocket and this mission is something new being tested by the Indian Space Research Organization. The rocket was tested and integrated at a private facility, Anant Technologies in Trivandrum. The satellites were tested and integrated at a facility of Anant Technologies in Bangalore. The satellites, when they do the experiment of space docking, is the first one for India, a maiden attempt. Only 3 countries have mastered this, Russia, China, and United States of America. And then finally, the top stage of the rocket, which usually becomes space debris, has been converted into a space lab by ISRO, and there are 24 different experiments on it. So it's all about innovation, and ISRO using the power of putting more and more on less resources.
That 4th stage, which will now have a huge role, normally it's after a launch it becomes useless. It sort of burns into the atmosphere, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And it's
it is
destroyed.
space debris.
Right.
So here wealth from...
So how do they stabilize that platform?
Oh, the whole thing has
for the experiments on board to be recorded.
So ISRO is using that like a full-fledged satellite. So there is a solar-powered system on the fourth stage. There are motors on it. There's a communication apparatus, and the 24 experiments have been placed on the fourth stage. So it's like a full-fledged satellite which will continue to work for 3 months. And this is the fourth time ISRO is using this, what's called the PSLV fourth stage, which they call the POEM. So it's a wonderful way of converting waste into wealth.
General A.K. Bhatt, Director General of the Indian Space Association, also with us. General Bhatt, thanks very much for being with us. The entire process of 2 satellites docking with one another in space, what does this mean for the future of the Indian space program?
Like I would say, this is a major step forward to the missions which we plan for the future. Because this itself is a trial for what we are going to do in the future. Firstly, for the Bharat Antariksh Station. Because, as you know, the Bharat Antariksh Station will not go in one piece, but a number of its components will go up.
Right.
And they have to be all docked together. They have to be brought together. And this technology will be one of the critical technologies of assembling the Bharat Antariksh Station in space. And then beyond that, when we have a manned mission to moon again, docking would be one of the critical technologies which will be required.
All right, General, but hold on for a second. Let's cut full frame to ISRO Master Control Center and let's just listen in to what's taking place.
Servicing of liquid propellants into the stages, pressurization of onboard command gas bottles are some of the activities that are carried out during countdown.
T-7 minutes. अब हम उड़ान से 7 मिनट की दूरी पर हैं। इस दौरान आपको PSLV C60 के प्रमोशन घटनाक्रम के बारे में जानकारी देते हैं। इसमें सर्वप्रथम T-3 सेकंड्स पर रिएक्शन कंट्रोल थ्रस्टर्स का प्रज्वलन शुरू होगा। T0 पर प्रथम चरण S139 सॉलिड बूस्टर का प्रज्वलन शुरू होगा। इसका प्रज्वलन काल 111 सेकंड का होगा और इस समय यान लगभग 50 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई प्राप्त कर लेगा। प्रथम चरण को यहाँ यान से पृथक कर दिया जाएगा। इसके तुरंत बाद ही PS2 यानी द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन शुरू हो जाएगा। यह चरण तरल नोदक पर आधारित चरण है। इसका कार्यकाल लगभग 150 सेकंड का होगा। PS2 चरण के दौरान ही प्रमोशन यान क्लोज लूप गाइडेंस के अंतर्गत काम करेगा। इसका मतलब जाइरोस, एक्सेलेरोमीटर्स और अन्य सेंसर्स की मदद से अपनी वास्तविक स्थिति का पता लगाकर इंजन जिम्बल की मदद से वह अपनी उद्दिष्ट कक्षा हासिल करेगा। T-6 मिनट्स। इस दौरान जब यान 116 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई पर होगा